When it comes to the next gen Xbox, many of us would think about the Xbox Series X or the Xbox Series S, but the reality is that Microsoft is thinking about this in a third kind of way, through the cloud. We've all seen the reports of cloud gaming becoming bigger than ever before, and Xbox is a big part of this conversation. While you do have services like Google Stadia that are taking an all-in approach, another would be Amazon Luna, Xbox is kind of making this an accoutrement, an accessory if you will, into the main Xbox experience that is gotten through Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So, instead of just being tied to a console or a PC, you can access your entire catalog of Game Pass games directly through an application on an Android tablet or phone. You can access it through the browser on any iOS device. And speaking of browsers, you can access games through any Chromium-based web browser. The only thing you really need is a controller. Much like this controller next to my copy of Metroid Dread being held by Master Chief. Just wanted to point that out. But the big question is, when will this same functionality come to televisions? This is something that has been announced, this is something that has been alluded to, and it seems like by the end of 2022, this could be a reality. The question is, what form does this take? This instantly opens up millions of players around the world to the world of Xbox, with the cost of entry really only being an Xbox controller, and that's not that bad. Of course, you also have to have the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership, but with potential new pricing tiers on the way, that cost of entry could be lower than ever before, and with some kickstarting bundles, who knows what the possibilities could be. When it comes to the rollout of this functionality, what is it going to look like? Personally, I'm going to guess that it has something to do with a long-term partnership with Samsung. Now, this could get a little bit dicey because Samsung recently announced their own game streaming service. While they gave no specific details here, we also see Google shopping around Stadia functionality to phone providers and carriers like AT&T. So that could also be something that Samsung is looking into as well. But as it stands today, Microsoft and Samsung have an existing partnership through marketing materials that co-market not only Samsung devices, but also Xbox Game Pass as a part of that ecosystem. And so with that existing relationship, it stands to reason that the world of cell phones could very well branch over into the world of televisions. So if an application is designed and developed, it could make a lot of sense that this appears on Samsung TVs first and foremost. This also lines up very well because Samsung televisions already have the capability to connect a Bluetooth gamepad. So with really little cost of entry, you could easily connect to a Samsung television, assuming the functionality is still basically the same as any kind of Android tablet, which makes getting into Game Pass and specifically getting into cloud gaming through Xbox pretty much a breeze no matter what device you're on, including a hypothetically supported Samsung Smart TV. But then you have, the rest of the televisions in the world. Those that don't have a Samsung television like myself. I have a TCL. There are so many Sonys out there on the market. There are plenty of televisions that other people choose to go with. But for those that have actual televisions that aren't Samsung, assuming this partnership would become a reality, there has to be some other solution if the application is exclusive to Samsung's application marketplace. So that could be a streaming stick. The big question is, what is the price point going to be if this device does become a reality? As it stands right now, some of the highest end devices like the Nvidia Shield TV Pro are running at about $200. At your Best Buy, you can walk in, get one off the shelf, and have a similar kind of streaming experience that potentially could bring more functionality that you would get from a gaming PC. But then you have entry-level devices like what you get from Amazon Fire Sticks, which can run anywhere between $25 and $50, sometimes even lower than that, depending on what kind of sales are going on. And so the question here is, how much power is actually required for Xbox Cloud Gaming to function well? Really, I think it comes down to the networking capabilities of each device. For instance, on the television behind me, I have an Amazon Fire Stick that's a few years old that I am confident can barely run Netflix, let alone Xbox Cloud Gaming. Another big component of this is that not every smart TV is going to support Bluetooth up to the quality that's required to get a very low latency connection with an Xbox wireless controller. And so with that being considered, a streaming stick also makes some sense, or a set-top box, or whatever this end product ends up looking like. My biggest concern is going to be the price point. Will it be a $200 system? I think not, because then a lot of people would just chunk another $100 into that investment and get an Xbox Series S, so that high end is pretty much out. On top of that, I don't think that the low end is going to be much of an option. You can't really swing a $20 streaming stick and expect it to be able to hit that mark that is needed to support Xbox Cloud Gaming. If I had to guess, this piece of hardware will probably cost around $50 and will likely include at least 3 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to help get you started. Now again, I want to make it very clear this is just me getting my thoughts out into the atmosphere. I have no kind of insider information, I have no kind of hint as to what this is going to be. Just thinking through the process of how this is going to go, it makes sense that Microsoft will potentially nourish that partnership with Samsung and then make an alternative option for those that might not be in the Samsung ecosystem. Because keep in mind, Samsung TVs are very, very popular. So, with all of this being taken into consideration, I'm looking forward to the future of cloud gaming because it's something that I've been experimenting with a lot in my free time. I play my console on my PC through cloud gaming, I've played on browsers at work through cloud gaming, I've played on my iPhone through cloud gaming. It is a solid experience, and it's one that has improved drastically, especially with the addition of Xbox Series X custom hardware supporting the back end of this system. So, Xbox is certainly moving in the right direction. But when you have Nvidia beefing up their side of the fence, and they're engaging the community with 3080s that are supporting their cloud gaming experience, it's time to really hit the consumers where it counts, and that is bringing it directly into their living rooms with as little additional hardware and investment as possible. Before we wrap up today's video, I do want to address those that might think cloud gaming is a waste of time or it's something that you won't use. But I do want to put this thought experiment out there to try and convince you that you might actually find more utility in it than you realize. So, imagine that the internet is solid no matter where you go. You're getting a solid download and upload speed, you're good to go, no concerns, it's perfectly fine. So, you go on vacation, you don't bring your Xbox, you have minimal devices, but you still want to get that gaming experience in. Maybe you go to the beach and it's raining for a couple of days. Imagine that the house you're staying in or the hotel you're staying in, wherever you are, has a smart TV. Doesn't have to be expensive, it's a couple of years old, but it gets the job done. Imagine you have either a streaming stick or you can just download the Xbox app, log into your account, and you instantly have access to hundreds of games that you can play right there just with an Xbox controller. That's neat. But these are just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I would love to hear if you think an Xbox TV app is coming. I would love to hear if you will use it. And on top of that, when do you think this is actually going to become a reality? If cloud gaming catches on at all. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. I'll talk to you soon, and keep on playing.